Hello, and welcome to the 6 dangers of texting the narcissist too much. Are you required to co parent with a narcissist? Are you stuck in a high conflict family court custody battle? If this is you, you're not alone. I help encourage the loving, caring, protective, supportive mom in this situation. If you're going through this, you're not alone. I give you some of my survivor wisdom, and this is the 6 dangers of texting the narcissist too much. You'll hear from my story and what my lawyer advised me. Just a quick disclaimer, this isn't direct legal advice. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, I'm not even a professional. I'm a mom survivor that has gone through it. Take what's helpful, leave the rest maybe for another time. My goal is to educate, encourage, and empower mothers and women. So learn all you can. My background is loving and leaving an alcoholic to go on to end up in a family court custody battle. You'll see my 6 books for moms, from co-parenting with a narcissist, 7 self-rules to stay sane, and you will need your sanity through the insanity of this, all the way to wisdom for ending the co-parenting war in a custody battle with a narcissist so you can heal and be able to help your child. I say learn, heal, and grow and get to peace for yourself. And I encourage moms to limit communication with a toxic ex. There are ways for us to set boundaries with ourselves. I call them the self rules, instead of setting boundaries with a boundary crosser. So, if this is information you need to know, listen to the end for the 6 dangers of texting the narcissist too much. So, custody case preservation. If we are co parenting with a narcissist or in a custody battle with a narcissist, we need to safeguard our personal information and more. We need to protect our minds, bodies, spirits, souls, parenting rights, cases, and precious energy. My lawyer advised me to be careful in my communication with and to the narcissist, and for good reasons. You can read my disclaimer on the other slide, because all cases are different. Losing and winning custody. I was in a custody battle with my narcissistic ex for 12 years over our only child in the U.S. family court. I won some protections and lost others along the way. At one point, with my second lawyer, I lost all legal rights to our child by being outmaneuvered legally. However, with my third lawyer and a new strategy, I used what I call Skillful-Means, and I was able to win back my rights and eventually negotiate with a narcissist. I started gaining cooperation, stopped being attacked, and attained peace for myself and our child. She had her whole life returned to her, including her original school, activities, and original therapist. All things the narcissist stripped from her when he won. This effort took tons of hours of research, experts, personal coaching, my own therapy, my healing, years, and strategizing. It also took learning, healing, and growing through it. Where the family courts failed us, I had to learn some advanced higher level skills from masters who taught about promoted peace. We barely survived in that war zone, but we were able to thrive when we entered peace. Navigating around the narcissist. If you are in your own battle with a narcissist, the key is to use wisdom and support as you try to navigate around the narcissist. I find it best to share with a safe support person and what I really needed to say to the narcissist. So I got it out, and then use the customer service skill that I teach to giving neutralizing responses to an unsafe narcissist. Regularly venting and speaking my truth was a way to discharge my anger and upset so that I could get out of the emotional side of my brain and into the logical side. Science has shown us via high tech functional MRI scans that we can't be in both sides of our brains simultaneously or effectively. My lawyer often reminded me the more reasonable party wins. So I had to make sure I was using general common sense. I learned to temper myself, to care about what the judge cared about. I've discovered now, as a narcissist abuse recovery expert who's dealt with a narcissist for almost 30 years and who has helped other women in battles with narcissists for over a decade, that small amounts, short, systematic, strategic, and planned communication is best. What's even better? If our lawyer reads our responses first and approves of them. Here are just some of the dangers if we text the narcissist too much. 1, we end up with blurred boundaries with a boundary crosser. 2, we mistakenly invite the narcissist into a conversation and give him narcissistic supply in the form of attention. 3, we accidentally get closer to the toxic person and they become part of our day. That's how they can ruin our lives even when we're not with them. 4, we tend to get re-triggered and re-traumatized by new subtle forms of narcissistic abuse like post-separation abuse or what I call co-parenting abuse. 5, we inadvertently allow the narcissist to gather info, details, data, dirt, intel on us to possibly use against us later with a spin or a twist of the facts. Narcissists will attack people when their perceived opponent is vulnerable. Keep that in mind. 6, we appear weak when we over-explain, defend, or justify. Sometimes silence appears stronger. Narcissists love to see people unravel their energy on defending against an attack or a tactic. They know they have control over the person when they see a strong reaction and a lot of energy going out from that person. Less is more. It's a tough task dealing with a personality disordered person who steps on toes and can lead a person off a cliff in a conversation. This is why not engaging or talking is often the best route to attaining personal peace when required to deal with a narcissist. I have a gray walling method that helps set a visual for how we have to generate a force field of protection. I have mom learn about my castle and curtain method of self-protection and self-preservation. Just keep in mind that castles were built for thousands of years for a reason. And all of these are in all 6 of my books if you're looking for more information. Alternative approaches can lead to anguish. However, in some cases, sometimes moms realize the only way to keep an eye, quote unquote, on the kids is to lend a listening ear to what comes out of the narcissist's mouth by letting the narcissist boast, brag, complain, share, and talk about himself. It takes real fortitude to be able to listen and to act like we care or don't care, as the narcissist often talks about child abuse and neglect. Sometimes a cold and calculating narcissist tries to see what buttons he can push in us with his stories of being a terrific, wonderful, exceptional dad, quote unquote, dad. When moms go to the listening route and go this route, as the narcissist often shares what he's done to their innocent, vulnerable children, they naturally react inside and want to rush to fix, save, stop, and rescue. But eventually, or gradually, or generally, from that emotional jumping off point, moms tend to do more damage to their custody cases by being that naturally protective. I tell moms that it's normal to react to abnormal. That gives them some validation. However, what we must do is prepare ourselves to know ahead of time by doing our own research that what the narcissist will often do, and that they will often do awful things and things that they shouldn't do. This is a way we're to prepare ourselves to not be so surprised. If there is severe child abuse and neglect, please contact your lawyer and see if calling Child Protective Services, CPS, is right for your case. I'm not talking about minor things that judges would think are no big deal. Many of my calls to CPS went against me at my 5-day trial. When moms say too much to the narcissist, sometimes overcaring leads to oversharing. We want the best for our children, and as a co-parent, we tend to forget who we're talking to when communicating. We can mistakenly project our loving selves out and think that a narcissist wants the best for the kids too, forgetting the narcissist wants the best for themselves. What I have seen is that we moms tend to share with the narcissist lots of details so he hopefully gets the importance of things. But This can often make the narcissist more uninterested and just tune us moms and our unsolicited guidance out. What I've learned through trial and error and reading books from the experts is that there are skillful ways to communicate with a narcissist. It takes understanding of what is important to the narcissist and targeting that in communications, plus having lots of self restraint. Going forward, to make life easier on us moms and our kids, we want communication that is limited, specific, and strategic. For example, we want to follow the court order, even if the narcissist doesn't. In my case, to not be accused of parental alienation, PA, I invited the narcissist to all our child's early events and informed him of all school and medical information for 7 straight years while he acted uninterested. He ignored me in his stonewalling way and gave me the silent treatment, and then that's a narcissistic ignore tactic. But he was unable to use false PA claims in our custody battle to win sole custody. A word of caution. Some moms take this idea too far when they hear about false PA claims, tending to win narcissist sole custody in the family courts. And then in a rush, without legal guidance or strategy, they contact the narcissist, invite the abuser back into their lives and the child's life out of fear, thinking they're safeguarding, quote unquote, their case. Sometimes this backfires and shows the judge the mom wants the abuser to have contact with the child. This is why a complete and careful strategy has to be established with a vetted lawyer who knows the details of your case, because our actions have to align with our lawyer's ultimate game plan and message to the judge. We can't have an argument both ways. It tends to get called out in the court by the other side's lawyer or the judge. For example, it doesn't make sense to ask for supervised visitation when giving unsupervised time freely to the narcissist, unless there's a new police report, current CPS findings, etc. If you need legal guidance, please see my Get the Right Lawyer guide and my 20-question attorney interview worksheet in my guide, because knowledge and preparedness are power. You don't have to go into those consultations powerless. You can go in very strategic. Communication with the narcissist isn't simple when we are the targets of blame, which is why I encourage moms to change their view and stance if they're required to co-parent with a narcissistic ex. Post-separation abuse is real and can be worse for victims of narcissistic abuse when we get out of the relationship. It was for me. I tell moms that abusers abuse and to steer clear. What I've witnessed is that when moms stand up to their bullies because they're no longer together and they found their voice, I've seen all kinds of retaliation tactics on them and the kids, even if they win in that moment. I've seen everything from child support payments stop completely, to children not being returned, to children being told lies about the mom and having the kids' minds turned against the loving mom. We must watch out for the dangers of dealing with a narcissist. One big danger lies in telling the narcissist too much and having them mentally chew on it and spit it back out on us as an attack. Narcissists don't process information like most people do. They see information as another possible weapon and take it as ammunition. Typically, they're fighters and enjoy fighting, whether it's physical or verbal, and they use information for terrible purposes, to cause pain, to shame victims, and accuse people. That's some of their narcissist tactics, which is like blame shifting and redirecting. They have distorted thinking along with expert level manipulative abilities. Narcissists can take one piece of information, completely change the narrative and the facts to make it sound the opposite. They can use information to harm others, threaten, and blackmail. Some narcissists keep a storehouse of secrets on a person to use against them later in an argument. That's why they showed interest in hearing personal stories and usually love gossip. The bottom line is, I found it a sad fact that what matters to us moms doesn't matter to the narcissist or most judges who see dozens of high conflict cases and tend to go numb. When I help moms, I instruct them to imagine that a judge was reading what they wrote to a narcissist as a self-check. Check your replies and responses to the narcissist. Be open-minded to editing what you write, revising and shortening it to get to the point. We may have to ask for help from our lawyers when responding. Does your communication via text, emails, messages come across as micromanaging, complaining, nagging, policing the other parent, overstepping your parenting time, full of hatred or bitterness, full of fears for your child or children, or overly worried, full of pain of the relationship ending, or claims that he isn't a good father, full of guilt? Are you justifying, defending, and over explaining? Or cry for help to the wrong person? In terms of dealing with text messages, emails, and a co-parenting app, I found it best in my case with a narcissist to keep all communication in writing, keep all communication simple, keep it short, keep it on topic, keep it kind, refute all lies, false allegations, or accusations in one sentence, title and label all communication to find it more easily later. Imagine a judge reading it at a custody hearing or trial. Key: I followed the court order for communication, even if the narcissist didn't. If it was an emergency, I kept the text option open, even though he was an abusive person. This was after changing my number 5 times over the 15-year relationship to avoid his love bombing and the narcissistic Hoover, which in my heartbreak, I was very vulnerable to and took him back multiple times. But I kept that option open for emergencies for a reason. So here's a strong suggestion when communicating and writing with a narcissist. Imagine that the judge is hearing it read aloud by your ex's lawyer, and this is the judge's 5th high conflict case of the day. Imagine the judge is reading it after hearing all the testimony of a trial and is tired. Another helpful tool I use from a recovery program is a slogan that can be said to ourselves to check ourselves. How important is it? You might just want to stop and say, how important is it? There is such a thing as making mountain out of a molehill, and it can be the sister act to a narcissist exaggerating abilities. It often benefits moms to not be lumped in as part of the high conflict in a family court. When moms can learn to be cool, calm, collected, and they tend to appear better to all professionals on the custody case. That's why narcissists tend to look really good. They're acting, and moms are being authentic and genuine. But moms need to do some type of image control with this emotional control while the narcissist is doing their image management. When moms demonstrate maturity and flexibility, it can also help them. Oftentimes, the narcissist takes things the wrong way. So I began to notice that the narcissist would take things personally, even if I was talking about something else. It was a learning experience where I learned that they are egocentric and tend to make things all about them. Even more so as a coercive control tactic, the narcissist was determined to misunderstand me. And they do that to victims. So much of our original communication style with a narcissist can be futile or worse, fuel. No, always remember that any and all communication can and may probably be used against you and twisted in court. When moms think too much about the narcissist, too much thinking about the narcissist can be damaging. If you found yourself thinking about the narcissist too much, keep in mind that he is your ex for a reason. Remember to use my 3D approach and discuss, document, detach. Often, our past relationship with a narcissist, we revolved around them. It was all about them. They made it about them. We made it about them. But now it's about our healing, our kids, and our life. Now it's about our child's one and only childhood and being the best mom we can be. Now it isn't about the narcissist. So welcome to my work. I encourage you to establish a strong system of support. Getting help is a sign of strength, not weakness. If you're ready to learn, I am here to teach. I offer my tips, tools, and strategies. I have a podcast on Spotify. I have a free Substack newsletter. I have the Get the Right Lawyer guide and a couple of books, or just as an individual guide. I don't, recommend a lot of things because of what I've seen over the years, but I'm not a lawyer and can't give you direct advice. So take what you like from this. If you found it helpful, I have all 6 of my books, and I ask support me as a self-published author. You can hopefully glean wisdom and reflect upon my story and learn from it. I aim to be a light in the darkness of this dilemma. I write for moms who are forced to co-parent with a narcissist or stuck in high conflict custody battle. This is you. You know you're not alone. It's my personal mission to help the motivated mothers maintain their sanity, save their custody cases, and enjoy their child's one and only childhood, and let their child enjoy their childhood. We want to watch our children thrive. As you know, I'm a mom thriver, and the only legal advice that I give is to get legal advice. The second legal advice I give is to, do your 20 wants list, use my guide, and then go get more legal consultations. If you've done only one consultation, that can put you at a disadvantage. My words of wisdom, tips, and insights are just based on my thoughts and experiences and opinions, and are not from any court, and my story may differ from yours, so please take what's helpful, leave the rest maybe for later. My books can validate what you might be experiencing and give you creative ways to improve your co-parenting conditions. There are healthy attitudes to adopt, mindsets that moms can make solid, and sanity to hold on to, as well as beneficial perspectives that you can take to endure this dilemma and survive. You can learn what I call skillful means in my books and other strategies to navigate around the narcissist. You can find my video program on my book. Learn all you can, because knowledge is power. I say be prepared, and my goal is to leave you with tidbits of wisdom, a lot of encouragement. Know that you can endure and be resilient. Believe in yourself. Remember to learn the valuable lessons and come out of this stronger and smarter than before. You can learn from the stories that I tell. What happened to me may not happen to you, or may not even be applicable, but you might learn something along the way and see that some of my techniques could be beneficial. So thank you so much for watching and listening. If you're on the podcast, I say pick up my books. Think about being the change that you want to see in your case. I don't, talk about annihilating, beating, destroying the narcissist. It's more a disarm, neutralize, de-escalate situations, and bring in some kindness and civility, because you never know when you might need it later. So thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. I've got hundreds of free videos on my channel. I have videos on strategies, how to position yourself for negotiating with a narcissist. So thanks so much for listening and watching.